What she did was take her husband's coffee grounds and snap a picture click, and submit it to the robot overlord ChatGPT himself or herself, itself, they self.
Well, if ChatGPT can't do it, then what makes you think you could do it?
Is still brought to you by Budweiser. It doesn't matter if they're paying me.
Sam Altman can get away with it, okay? He's the best looking guy in tech.
The Rays still cannot be broadcast together.
Wrong on both accounts. Wrong on all accounts. All accounts.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Dirty Data Show, episode number 3. How about it? I'm your host, Evan Wimpy. So excited to bring you today's top stories in data and analytics, putting a little hilarious spin on them. Today's show is brought to you by, you guessed it, Budweiser, the king of beers. Can you believe it? Sitting here, right here in a podcast studio with the king of beers, Budweiser. Fantastic. We got some good shows today, but I did want to mention a few things first. I'm sure you've already noticed you're a very wise crowd, maybe the smartest audience out of anyone's audience in the world. Say podcast studio. After the overwhelming success of episodes 1 and 2, we've made a few upgrades. Now you may be able to see, for those of you watching, the reflection in my sunglasses. There's a little light. I'm filming this at night. It's the middle of the night, but it feels like day because I have a light. A light is shining so that we can film anytime, day or night. It's fantastic. It's great. It's going to bring you all kinds of new episodes are going to open up now that we can film at night. We can't get away with some of this stuff during the day, but at nighttime, anything goes. You might also notice it might just feel like I'm more animated at night, but well, maybe that's true too. But the reason why I appear to be bouncing up and down is because I'm bouncing up and down. You see, my spouse, God bless her heart, she's a fantastic woman and she takes great care of me, but she really doesn't like my old office chair that was sitting in here and shedding its little pieces of leather all over the carpet. So I had to get a new one. And so I found the cheapest thing that you can get for a chair, which is a yoga ball. And now I'm just bouncing. I'm actually like engaging my abs the entirety of this episode and the entire time that I sit at this desk from now on. So this is no longer just a podcast to get today's latest and greatest in data and analytics. It's a podcast to get ripped to shreds because I invite you, dear listener, to bounce on a yoga ball with me. Or if you're driving or walking or whatever you're doing while you listen to podcasts, then just go ahead and tighten up those abs, like I'm doing on this yoga ball. You can probably hear it in the inflection of my voice, and I want you to do it too. We're living in this AI world. The human aspect is what's important, and humans have abs, and AI does not. So every time you hear me pronounce a letter T, I want you to tighten those. T is for tighten. So tighten those abs. Tighten, tighten, tighten. You just stay super engaged during this episode. And then I tell you what, this episode can count as your workout. You don't even have to go to the gym after work today. You just go home and drink a nice cool Budweiser, and then, your abs will be set. Huh, huh, huh. Look at that. You're getting your workout in right now. We got some fantastic stories to talk about today. The first is my man Shawn K. Shawn K was the subject of an article in Fortune a couple of weeks ago, and poor Shawn K. Shawn K was laid off. He was a software engineer. He was earning $150,000 per year, which in the world of software engineering is good. Good. It's not great. You do pretty good on 150K. But Shawn K has been in software engineering since at least 2008 because in this article, this "Oh Woe Is Me" Shawn K article, he got laid off during the financial crisis of 2008, 2009. He got laid off during the pandemic, and now he's laid off again. This time he blames AI. Now, causal modeling is tough, and if you're just feeding stuff into AI, you may scribe causal reasoning to any number of things. But for a guy who's been laid off twice already to say that this is AI took my job and to get an entire Fortune article about it and wind up in the news and have people talking about it, I think is pretty exciting. And to be able to blame AI, maybe it's AI's fault, maybe it's Shawn K's fault. I I would put a hefty wager that it's neither AI's nor Shawn K's fault wholly. It tends to be just the market that we are in, ladies and gentlemen, in technology is a bit cyclic, and sometimes folks get laid off, and especially sometimes software engineers that are in a role focused on developing for the metaverse, as Shawn K was developing for the metaverse, then maybe it's a little more likely that you'd get laid off, whether or not there's any such thing as AI. But now, look, I think Sean Kay did it right because the world of tech has experienced lots of layoffs, especially lately. Perhaps AI is partially or even mostly to blame in some of these cases. I'm really skeptical if it's the case of Sean Kay. But even if it is, Sean Kay is coming out smelling like a rose. He got this big article about him. He's got his website, his personal website is linked on this article. I'm not going to say the name of the website because I think it's some bullshit and I don't want Sean Kay to get any more publicity besides me giving him this publicity. I'm not going to say the name of his website. That is where Evan W. draws the line. And actually, I don't know what Sean K's last name is. It says his legal name is Sean K. And it, in my mind is just Homer J. Simpson. And that is goes through all this hoopla to make sure that it's just an initial. It's Homer J, Homer J, Homer J. And then Homer jumps through all these hoops to find out that the J actually stands for J. And K is not an uncommon last name. Am I right, my K friends? I know I've got at least one K listener. How are you doing? And I might have another now with Sean K, because I suspect his legal last name is just Kay instead of K dot. But I digress. John Kay is complaining. I don't know really that he's complaining. He got his mug in this article, so he's doing great. But the article, the "Oh Woe Is Me" headline says he has to deliver for DoorDash and live in a trailer to make ends meet. Folks, he's living in this luxury RV. It looks phenomenal. I'm about to spend the weekend in the crash RV that we can't even afford to repair the roof on, and it's going to leak when we're in Carolina Beach, but that's okay because we're going to get Brits donuts, and I don't care how much it rains in that thing. But I really wish I had a trailer like Sean K's because he's doing all right. And let's just see, Sean K, you're making 150K. That K is for thousand, not for K. You're making 150K. You've been in this space for at least 20 years now. Surely you got a nice little juicy nest egg. You haven't been spending every penny that you've earned, have you? I don't think so. No software engineer that would expect to keep their job could be so short-sighted as to spend all of their income for 15 to 20 years in a lucrative yet risky endeavor as software engineering in the metaverse and then just expect to just land on their feet. But all in all, I think he's doing okay. He's selling some stuff on eBay. He's delivering for DoorDash. There's a lot of people doing that have never made 150K as a software engineer. So the "Oh Woe Is Me" article and everybody's going to lose their jobs to AI. Well, if Sean K is the face of that, Sean K is doing fantastic. He's got a nice hefty chunk of change that he's sitting on. And if he needs to sell that trailer, I'm gonna wait until he's super desperate and he's tired of Door Dashers reporting their food not delivered, even though he says he delivered it, but he doesn't want to walk it up the steps. He just leaves it curbside, which I suspect the little I know about Sean Kay, he might be inclined to do. Maybe they can go pick it up in the metaverse. Sean Kay. But that's our first story about AI, or should I say A1? Because that's what Linda McMahon said. Linda McMahon, what is she? She's something important. She's some kind of elected official in education or something. I don't know. Who knows? The safest thing to do when you're worried about our politics, especially in the US, is to go sort of ostrich mode and just sort of put your head in the sand. I'm going to tell you the most important news that you need. You really don't need anything after that. So let's see. Linda McMahon is our education secretary, and she has confused AI with A1. She has gotten a bad rap for this, okay, folks. She misspoke one time and then another time and then several times. So a whole bunch of times. She has said that we need to be utilizing A1 in education. How do we expect our kids to learn at light speed if we're not using the latest and greatest in technology? And that means sprinkling a little A1 on everything. Now, it could be that she's confusing AI and A1, or it could be that she just literally means A1. I'm more of a hot sauce person. I put that shit on everything, but I see the allure of A1 and the tangy barbecue steak sauce. You really could put that on everything. Michelle Obama had a whole thing about school lunches and how important it was. Can you imagine a little bit of flavor, a little bit of A1 for all these kids sprinkled on everything? Can you imagine how well that would do for our education system? So, Linda McMahon, perhaps she's not so different from Michelle Obama. Or perhaps she's just pushing 80 years old and is wildly, absolutely not qualified to serve as education secretary. She's former CEO of WWE, sort of the face of education, really the analog to education in the non-governmental world is WWE. Maybe it just so happens that he knows exactly what she's talking about. And A1 is the future for our children. This is the type of person that I want in charge. This is the type of person that I want making decisions for my children. Um, I wonder how much of this is just we, dear listener, and myself, who are immersed in this world of data and AI. We just live this so much that we think it's second nature. And I wonder if there are things in the WWE world that I would say the acronym wrong, and all the WWE fans and podcast listeners would think this guy's such an idiot. He doesn't even know what the whatever EDPs. Diamond Dallas Page, he called it DDK. Oh my gosh. I'm dating myself a little bit with the DDP. But I'm just saying, I get it. AI is front and center for a lot of us, but maybe it's not front and center for Linda McMahon. And maybe we should cut her a little slack because she shouldn't have to learn anything. She's pushing 80. How old is she? Okay, she's 76 when this article was written. This article was written a couple days ago. So unless she just had a birthday, she's 76. Could be 77. Where the article could be wrong. The possibilities are endless. Oh, goodness gracious. What a world we're living in. An A1 world that we're living in. Thanks for this headline, Linda McMahon. And thanks to listener number one, Levi Moore, super listener who shared this story and a call out on the podcast. Thanks for sharing. And Levi is getting a free copy of Predictable Jokes, 101 data analytics jokes for those in data science, machine learning, and AI. Levi, coming your way. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the hot tip. Listeners, if you've got stories that you think would be fun to talk about on the Dirty Data Show, send them my way. Thanks, Levi. Our last story for today is a Turkish woman files for divorce. She doesn't file for divorce. She is diverse. In fact, she's Looney Tunes, cuckoo, bananas. A Turkish woman files for divorce from her husband because she suspects him of cheating. He thinks he's a no good, dirty, rotten scoundrel. He's cheating. Actually, she doesn't think he's cheating. He thinks that he's thinking about cheating. And just the idea that he's even thinking about cheating is enough for her to file for divorce. He's thinking about cheating with someone whose name starts with E. My name starts with E. My name is Evan. My name starts with E. I'm not saying I'm putting the moves in. I'm not sliding in on this ladies' man, but could be me, could be Evelyn, could be Evander Holyfield, could be anybody whose name starts with E because that's what ChatGPT told her. And ChatGPT, sometimes it hallucinates, but if you give it strong enough prompt with strong enough context, you can feel pretty confident in its outputs. And that's what this Turkish woman did. What she did was take her husband's coffee grounds and snap a picture, click, and submit it to the robot overlord ChatGPT himself or herself, itself, they self. We cool here on the Dirty Day Show. And said, hey, read these leaves. I guess that's not really leaves. You read these ground. We read a lot of tea leaves. I didn't realize we were reading coffee grounds as well, but we can read coffee grounds. That's cool. Read these coffee grounds, ChatGPT, and tell me what my stank ass husband be up to. And you know what ChatGPT said? Like a dirty rat, ChatGPT said, "Dude, this guy's thinking of cheating on you." Which, you know, we usually like to be as precise as we can with our estimates. But if you've got to make a single estimate and the only data you're provided is that your spouse is grabbing your coffee grounds out of the trash, taking a picture and uploading them to a cloud-based large language model, then I would be inclined to suspect the husband of considering cheating as well. I know I would be considering cheating if my wife were that Looney Tunes. My wife actually is quite Looney Tunes, but she's a Looney Tunes that's quite compatible with my own Looney Tunes, and so we're good. I'm not even considering cheating, letters E or any others. Um, but I am considering developing my own large language model because you see, I see this as a risk to deadbeat loser husbands everywhere, myself very much included in that. If these ladies are starting to go to LLMs to get their marital advice, what we need to do is release a real loser GPT so that our wives, certainly the last thing we want is our wives getting emotional connection and emotional support from AI because if they're going to leave us, they want to leave them because they're reading our, whatever tea leaves or coffee grounds and you know seeing what seeing the future. That's good predictive modeling there. What we don't want is them to fall in love with ChatGPT itself. When I first read the story, the woman files divorce because of her interaction with ChatGPT. I assumed she was going to fall in love with ChatGPT, which she still might. It doesn't preclude that. She is Looney Tunes. She's cuckoo bananas. So she could be doing that, especially since ChatGPT is the one that outed her nasty husband for considering cheating with a woman whose name starts with E. A person whose name starts with E. Could be a woman, could be anybody. That's me. And, um, but I would like to develop an LLM that's a real dirtbag that just absolutely talks down to women, that absolutely you know, no emotional support at all when they ask it for help with problems. It just degrades them. Because I want the baseline set so low that I come out smelling like a rose. And if I could just get my spouse a subscription to that loser GPT, then I think that would do pretty well for me. This guy who's considering cheating with the person whose name starts with E, his big mistake wasn't leaving his coffee grounds out for his wife to just snap a picture of and send up to the internet machine. It was getting a subscription to ChatGPT. What he should have done is developed his own loser GPT so he comes out smelling like a rose. Or perhaps he's playing the long game and he no longer wants to be married to someone that likes to dig through trash and make life altering decisions based on the fortune telling of an already hallucinating large language model. Those are our stories for today. A lot of fun, some pop culture type stuff. We'll be back next week with more dirty data. Thanks so much for listening. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to make sure to catch the next episode and join me for an ice cold Budweiser. This is the Dirty Data Show. I'm Evan Wimpy. Thanks so much. Where's the off button? There is no off button.